Hey guys, it is time for the teacher circle. I hope that you all come in. Once you come in, go ahead and tell me your name, where are you from. Today on the teacher circle, I'm going to be talking to Teacher Man 91, Mr. Hamilton himself. So let me go ahead and get him on the screen.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey,
Uh,
that was the quickest I've ever gotten somebody on the screen with me. How's it going today?
going good. It's going good. I just came back from my classroom
I
um
saw.
stuff. Yeah.
Did you take a lot of it home with you or you just put most of it in your closet?
I took the whiteboard the dry erase markers, pencils, pens, eraser. What else? Sharpener. I brought all that stuff home, and then everything else I put in the closet. Cause I have
Gotcha.
my room. I have a whiteboard on the wall, hung up. Yeah.
I saw because you have one in your, you was using a mini one on your YouTube channel to do
Yeah.
your math equations at home.
Yeah. Yep. So it helps a lot, and I have a tripod, like a ring light
Yeah.
video. You
Mm-hmm.
are using it too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I see that. I see the light. Yeah, I see the light. Fun.
I
Yeah,
try to be a little professional every
yeah,
now
yeah,
and then.
definitely, definitely.
I'm so glad that you can join me today for the teacher circle. This is my second summer, just collaborating with different teachers from around the United States on topics that need to be discussed within our field. One of the greatest things that I discovered about like 3 years ago, I started actually attending conferences that weren't just in Georgia. And so when I would go to these conferences and I would sit at tables with teachers from Arkansas, California, Maine, and you hear their stories and you're like, wait, you in Georgia?
Yeah,
So I kind of wanted to bring that to social media because I think a lot of times we feel like it's a district problem or a state
yeah,
problem, but really it's going on everywhere, but we don't know.
right, right, correct.
So let's hear about you. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, well, formerly known as Teacher Man 91 on Instagram, but my name is Roger Hamilton. I teach grades 6 through 8 on math, but I'm certified to teach grades 5 through 9 English, science, and math. But every other school I go to, or every school that you would go to, there's always a shortage of math teachers. So I'll probably end up always teaching math. um, Currently, I teach at a 6 through 12 school, but the middle school is actually getting closed this year. Well, for next year, they're not going to be there no longer. All the kids that were in middle school, our school, are going to have to go somewhere else, unfortunately. So I'm
Wow.
high school next year. Yeah,
Okay.
just tell them they got to go. Yeah, it's
That's a big adjustment.
It is, especially during a time like this. Yeah, it's
Wow.
unfortunate. It just shows you, this is more of a business than it is just we think of just going to school and teaching, educating kids.
Mm,
A lot of money's involved behind all this stuff, unfortunately.
right.
Yeah.
They tell us to be student centered, but then
Right.
that's not really the basis of a lot of decisions that
Yep.
are made for the students. You know, they're kind of like at the end, it's like, well, we made the decision, now think about the impact versus thinking about the student first, thinking about the impact it can have, and then coming up with a solution that isn't as harmful or harmful at all. So
Right.
that's really crazy. I have a friend, Emily, she does Read It, Write It, Learn It, but she's in North New York. And she said she shared a letter that her husband has, I guess, in a sense, been asked, like, you may not return. Like, it's not even a definite that we'll need his position. And it was due to like budget cuts. So I know I've read a few more articles about budget cuts. In one state in particular, they are cutting art, music, and gym for one district because they just can't they financially can't pay them and do the PPE and meet the CDC guidelines and all of that. But it's kind of like, what? You know, that's,
I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
oh yeah, I be on it. Anything but education. I mean, like even in Georgia, they're cutting the education budget 14% for the upcoming school year. So, you know, I saw on someone's Instagram they put a picture. How can we? Why do we have a problem defunding policemen, but we okay with cutting the budget for
So why?
education?
Because they do it all the time. That's why. So it's like
Right,
it's so normal. Like
right.
it's they cut it. They cut stuff dealing with school all the time. You know, when I was a kid, we had this program called Big Apple. I was an athlete in high school. I played football, and it was Big Apple. They used to give us free Metro cards, bus passes to go to get to the school, the train there, and free lunches. And as time went on, we stopped getting the Metro cards and we stopped getting the food. And I'm like, what's going on? And then ultimately, they just stopped it completely. And they just so used to doing it to us all the time. So it's like, oh, they'll be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask this question, because I think that kind of reflects to parent involvement. If parents come in the building and they notice, wait a minute, there's no supplies in this building. How is my child learning? Or this facility is falling apart. Why is my child here? And I see mold in the air conditioner. Like, so what is parent involvement like within your school or within your district up there?
It's low. It's very low. It's low. Like I don't even. They don't come unless like there's an issue with the child. You know, like you know how it is when they get oh why you doing this to my baby, like one of those type of things. That's the only time you really see them.
Mm-hmm.
That is a problem, right? They don't know. I don't think
Right.
as long as their kid is in school, they're not interfering with their day. They're
Right.
fine. That is the problem. That is a problem.
Yeah. I because in my mind I'm thinking, you know, like you said, because they're so used to shrinking
Yeah,
our fund, and then think about it, teachers, man, we're relentless. Like we get things
get things done.
done. We're super creative. We're very determined. I think at this time we've gotten to the bottom of the pot where the teachers that are in this field, they're in it because they love it. So if you give me the box, you give me the shell, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna give them the best quality education I can give them because I'm committed to this. And I
Right.
think sometimes they take advantage of that love and passion
They
that we
do.
have for
Every
our craft. And they're like, well, we don't have to give them $100 for beginning of the year supplies. We know they'll figure out a way to get that in there. And so since policymakers and board members think like that, and then you have the absence of parents who may not be as knowledgeable to the lack of resources within the classroom for their students, because like you said, in their mind, my child is safe, they're getting fed, you know, it's supervised, we're good, and they're going to get my child back home. So then the only people that are really seeing the problems is the teacher.
right. That's the teacher. Yeah. Yep. Because the parents only think it's surface level. They're at the school, they're getting fed, they're gonna be home. Whatever
Yeah.
they do for the day, that that's it is what it is, and that's the unfortunate part, as well as like how many? You said you guys get $100 for
That ended 7 years ago, 7 or 10 years ago. They used to give you a debit card at the beginning of the school year,
what's that?
with $100 on it, and you could use it for back to school purchases. So teachers would get like personal printers with that, or they would get their printer paper and ink and
Good get with $100. That's
right.
a good get, really. We get 250, but we get that 250 like in November. So technically, we're still spending our money, and then they're like reimbursing it. But
Gotcha.
I asked teachers the other day on one of my posts, how much do you spend a year? I spend for the whole year, like I spend probably more than a little over $1,000
Yeah.
easily, you know. And that's not even enough. Like
Right.
that's after I'm like, all right, let me chill now. Like I'm like I'm doing a little bit too much. Like it is
Right.
enough. I feel
Yeah,
like
because you definitely want to, like, I know for me, outside of decor, like I'm always keeping nose tissues in the class, sanitizer in the class, pencils in the class, paper, like writing paper in the class, because that's one of those things that I'm the reading teacher. You got to have paper. You got to have these two things or you're not going to be successful. So instead of that, I like to end the argument before it begins. I don't even want to, I'm not going to waste my teaching time because I'm departmentalized. I'm not going to waste my teacher time asking you where your pen and paper. This is like you know where the corner is, go to the tray, get 2 sheets, get a pencil and call it a day, you know, because I can't waste that. I know that's a teachable moment. But at the same time, it's like, nah, son, we got 60 minutes.
Yeah, we can't waste time.
Grab it and go. So like I do invest a lot inside of the classroom because I want them to be successful, but I also want to make my job easier. I can go to the principal every day, you know, trying to get these things, but I don't want that headache.
Gotta pick your choosy battles.
Right. So one of the things that I wanted to talk with you about was student accountability, and I was able to subscribe to your YouTube channel. If you don't know, he does have a YouTube channel, Teacher Man 91, and you put up a video 2 months ago called preparing students to be prepared and take their education serious. And I watched it and I enjoyed it, and I agreed with all the points that you were discussing in that video. If you have not seen it, I suggest you go listen to it. Wasn't long at all. It got straight to the point, but you talked a lot about the choices that our students and parents make, but also the choices that the schools are making as well that kind of feed into that helplessness.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that.
Well, the reason why that was in my thoughts, because I teach at a alternative school where kids are overage. A lot of them got kicked out of charter schools, and some of them have records already. They already have their own probation or whatever the case may be, overage. So they're already at that point where they came to me with all these bad habits, you know, years and years and years and years of it, or they gave up on school because they got held back too much, or they just like, all right, F school. So, and then the other problem is, they're, especially like other teachers, when they come from other classes, they're so used to being bailed out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I'm struggling. Teacher put the answer on the board, you know, or so they come to me like, they look at me like an enemy. Like, why can't you just help me? I'm like, I can't, because, you know, I know you learn something when you don't need me. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, we got to teach these students how to be independent. And I think it's a generational thing where students are just so dependent on a lot of things, you know, and I'm like, we gotta break that. But I make so much videos that I probably sometimes when I do make the video, I can't even remember specifically what I said. Summarize.
All right, I'm gonna dig in for you.
Yeah.
So you talked about, the thing that caught my attention the most was you talked about how in the classroom, you spoke a little bit about in the classroom, they're always getting help. So then when this COVID-19 quarantine happened and you have students with no aid. So it's like in the class we had them, you know, you said, what was the word? You didn't want to, feed into that bad habit.
Yeah.
But honestly, if anything, you with that teacher mindset help them the most because they're used to having to think critically on how to solve the problems. Yeah. They know, like, when I go into his class, I better look at these step-by-steps he's giving me during the lesson, because during independent, all he's gonna do is walk around, monitor, and look over my shoulder and check the steps, but he's not gonna actually do this, now carry that, you know. But like you were saying in the video, now these children are home and you're not there.
Yeah, and that's right. And I remember now. I felt like we already set them up for failure. Because, okay, even if I make them work independently, what about the other 6 teachers throughout the day? So it's still bad habit after bad habit after bad habit after bad habit. And now they're home with no help at all. When they're used to, I don't get it. You know, as soon as you after the intro to practice or a mini lesson, as soon as you say independent, they're like this. like you didn't even try. At least fail first, so I can come and help you. Let me know, at least know that you tried. But they've been doing that. They've been doing that 180 days a year for years. So now they're home with a computer and nothing, no help. And then with also remote learning, a lot of teachers aren't really obligated to like make YouTube videos, and a lot of teachers are not tech savvy. So a lot of these kids don't even have those resources. They don't even know how to use resources. I thought they did. They don't know how to, if they're struggling with adding fractions, right? They don't know how to go to YouTube and type in adding fractions so they can get a video on YouTube to help them. They don't even know how to do that.
Right.
So they don't even know how to use their resources. Or, for example, I used to give them tests and I say, go study. And then it hit me, they don't even know how to study. Like, you gotta teach them to study. Like, you gotta teach them every single little thing.
Yeah.
We gotta teach the kids how to use their resources before I'm guilty. I assume that they knew how to study and how to look at research. They don't. So I used to, everything I'm doing now, I did in the classroom, where sometimes I wouldn't have a co-teacher, so I would record myself teaching, and I would have I can show you right now. Give me a second.
Okay.
Where is it? Where is it? I think I have it here. Yeah, I think it's here. No. Oh, should be. Oh, there we go. Right here. All right, so I would like record my video on the phone of what I'm teaching. Let's say I'm teaching how to add and subtract fractions, right? I would do a mini lesson on that, record it. So instead of me doing it live in front of them, I record it. They would take notes on the video, and I'm able to walk around and help them while they're doing that. So it's like I'm cloning myself.
Right.
I would have this piece. This goes into my iPhone. This goes into my iPhone, and the HDMI wire from the smartboard goes here.
Oh.
Yeah. So I would play the video. They would take notes on it, and then while they're looking at the video, I'm walking around and helping them while they're looking at the video. Or if any students are lost, I can be able to help them. If I was sitting in front of them live, I wouldn't be able to do that. I won't be able to know who's lost.
Right.
And then if they don't get something, I can just always replay it or pause it instead of me repeating myself. And that makes my job 20 times easier. So I've done that so I could show them how to do things on their own when they're at home. So it's a little bit easier. I feel like I hope that a lot of students will remember the things I did in the classroom.
Right.
Because I was
actually thinking about that. Everything I own is Apple. It happened overnight. I don't know how I slipped into it, but I was thinking about, I saw a wonderful video on YouTube where a person bought the Apple TV thing and he put it onto his TV in his classroom, and then he could control it from the iPad, and he would let students actually solve problems by passing the iPad down the classroom. And so kids didn't have to get up to go to the board came to them. It was a wonderful idea. So I looked into it. I think the Apple TV thing is about like $100 and something, but when you think about how it opens up the classroom like that to engagement, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely going to invest in that because I have it,
Think about how unfair that is, right? You say you guys get $100, right? Well, before this is $60 alone.
Yeah.
$60. So stuff like that, we're not able to get all the resources we need to effectively help these kids.
Right. Because they need it, like you said. So like, I remember a year ago, I made a video about new teachers going into the classroom. And the biggest thing that I had to realize coming into the classroom in 2014 was when you get hired, they say, I need a 4th grade teacher. But when you get inside that classroom, you're literally teaching every grade. Like you have children that are the age of a 4th grader, but you're going to have 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. You might be blessed with a 6th, but that's why, they were so big on differentiation. So you really can't get caught up or just assume, hey, I have a fourth grader that's going to come to me with all these skills and be ready to jump in on that
Oh,
standard. Because like you said, we're teaching note-taking skills. We're taking
yeah.
study skills. I literally had to drill that into my fifth and sixth graders this past year. I taught fifth and sixth English, geography, history, and social studies. And so it's not enough to say take notes. We did the Cornell note system. So the first thing I had to do was teach them how to section your paper, what goes in this section, what goes to this paper. But then I had to teach them how to read the book, like how to stop
Right.
at the paragraph, think about it. Do you remember? Oh, you do remember what was key. Now write that key down on your Cornell note sheet. But
Right.
then once you do that, that's not enough. You can't stop there by like walking them through the Cornell note system. You then got to talk to them about, okay, how do I study?
That's
Are
another.
you going to read this out loud to yourself at night for 15 minutes? Are you going to get a highlighter and dissect notes? Like just telling them all the different ways to study. But then at the end of the day, the accountability falls back on the student because as the teacher, we've done our part. We
Right.
lesson planned, we modeled, we practice, practice, practice. But
Yeah.
then when they go home, that switch has to turn on where they say, you
Yeah.
know what? Miss Mike
Progress.
put everything in my hand. Let me do it.
But honestly, like, do you even have the time to practice after you've done all of that? Like, like the studying, the modeling, the sectioning your notes. After all you teach all of that, where's the time to actually do real practice
Right.
in the classroom?
Right.
Think
So
about
it eats up
a lot.
a lot of the instruction period, and you have to do it. The thing I feel like my best strength is consistency. And because I'm consistent and we have like that routine in the beginning, does it eat up a lot of time?
Yeah.
It does. But then once they know the expectation, a lot of them meet the expectation unless they have some sort of disability. And
Yeah.
that's in all honesty. But I have to do my part and they have to do their part too. But it's kind of like establishing that community of it's okay if you ain't got it.
Right.
I know
Yeah.
you don't got it. I'm going to help you get it. And once you
Yeah.
get it, I expect you to do it.
Yeah. That's what I tell my students. Well, I keep real with them. I'm like, listen, a lot of y'all behind grade level. It is what it is. And I'm gonna tell you now, the reason why you're struggling is not because they follow them think they dumb. Like, oh, I can't do it because I'm dumb. And, like, not because you're dumb. You're behind the eight ball. Like, I'm giving you grade level work. Appropriate grade level work. It's aligned with the state exam. The state exam is hard. That's why I'm exposing you to it. So at least I actually tell them, like, at least if you don't know what you're doing, at least you've been exposed to it, so you'll have a chance at it. Because if you're not exposed to that rigor, you're gonna look at the test and just give up. But if you've seen it before, then be like, oh, all right, I've seen it before. I at least got a shot at it. They'll have
Right.
confidence when they know they got a shot. But I'm telling you, you're gonna struggle all year, but you're gonna feel a lot better once you start getting it on your own. If you stick with me and you believe in yourself, you keep trying, you're gonna eventually get it. It's gonna stick. But let's be real with ourselves. You're not going to get everything all in 1 year because you're missing a lot of links for no year
Right.
before. So it's going to be a struggle, and it's not because
Right.
it's just because this is what you've been doing 7, 6 years before me. And this is what we got to do now. And unless you haven't been doing all these things from grades 3 through 5, it's going to be hard grades 6 through 8.
Right.
And then in high school, it's going to be even harder. I actually showed them. We have regents in New York. I actually showed them the math readings they got to take to graduate high school. And it's like, oh my god, like I'm like, if you don't get this stuff here, this
Yeah.
is gonna terrible, But I
Right.
need to at least expose you to it. I only have 10 months. I only have 10 months, and technically, like we have 45-minute periods. That's really 25 minutes because when to get them settled let's say 10, 15, 5 to 10 minutes, if you haven't copied to do now, it's even longer. So you gotta print stuff out for them. Because copying is just like that. The way we go to school, we had to copy to do now, and that's over.
Yeah.
Kids take too long to write.
Right.
I'm like, yo, I don't got time. Like, I got 45 minutes. I gotta start. I'm like, yo, you be rushing. Only got 45 minutes, man. Like, so I used to think like we need to do traditional school, how we went to school, but these kids are different. They can't.
They are. They're way different. What I had to do a year ago was, you know, the stickers, you could put them through the printer, and it's like 8 or 12 depending on the size of the block, but you labels, you know, the label stickers.
Yeah.
So I actually have typed the discussion question or the writer prompt on the sticker. So as soon as they came in, I'm handing them their sticker. They put the sticker at the top of their sheet, and then they just start responding. Because like you said, we don't have time. Like the biggest thing with teaching is time management.
Yeah.
And monitoring your time and actually tracking your standards as you teach them, because you will get to May and realize, oh, I didn't teach this, and this. So we have to, I know it's, you know, it sounds like a lot of work, but teaching is work. We have to be tracking what we're teaching, how we're teaching it, and monitoring how they're doing on it. The great thing about 3 through 5 in the state of Georgia, what I'll say is they definitely want students to pass milestones, but they don't have to pass milestones to go to the next grade, sadly. But there's that window for growth. If little Timmy was a yellow in 3rd grade, can we at least get him one color up for 4th grade? So he still may not be on 4th grade level when he get to 4th grade, but at least there was some growth there. Because like you said, like the foundation, if they didn't get what they needed in K2, which has always been my biggest thing, like, I think y'all need me in the K2, because once they get to 3-5, we doing K2. But like you said, it builds upon itself. And so how can they get to you where they're doing inverse fractions or inverse numbers that you was working on, but they never got the foundations of just simple adding, subtracting, 2-digit number, 3-digit number, place value. You know, if you don't have this, how can you do order of operation? Like, none of this ties together.
This kids in middle school that don't know place value. Place value is something you need in the real world. I'm like, how y'all gonna write checks? How you gonna read a check? Like, what if you become an entrepreneur and you gotta write checks? I have kids saying 3,300,000. I'm like, no. I can't have y'all leave my classroom not knowing at least place value. And that's another thing I wanted to ask you, right? With this, with the pacing. So you got this long curriculum, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think it's better for you to go through everything and not take time, or just master 2 or 3 things and at least have them strong in that?
So I personally like to get them to master what I teach, because if you can master what you have been introduced to, for those little things that you don't know, like if the test is 50 questions and I know I only taught, you know, 13 of the concepts, but those 13 concepts make up 35 to 40% of the test.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Then the student is still going to pass and have a stronger foundation for the next teacher the next year, because I'm not going to go with them next year. What I usually do is I look at the key concepts that they have to know for that exam, and I make sure they've gotten that. And then, you know, once we get a little bit closer to the testing date, I start talking more about test skills. But I don't even worry about test skills. I just worry about the concrete component of it. Reading comprehension, vocabulary, breaking down the question to understand the 2-part. What is it asking me? So if it's a 2-part question, we should see 2 answers. Because these students, they think 1 word.
Yeah.
You know, we used to, it like you said before, they're not like us. And I don't know what made us great, but we had excellent teachers. I don't know, you know, a lot of people like to say, well, back then they didn't have as many tests. Back then teachers could just teach. I don't know what it is. But I will say we were students, like for my group, I'll say, we were competitive about outscoring each other. So we were paying like, no, don't bother me right now, because I'm about to outdo you on this test. Like, we were competitive in the right type of ways. And then 2, I think our parents had a higher expectation of us, because for me, my parents were like, Monet, you're going to be a lawyer. You're going to be a doctor. You're going to do better than me. I need to make sure I get you in this school so that you can get education. You know that when you're in school, your priority is education, because you're going to cure something. Now, they were shocked when I went to school and became teachers like them. It was like, Monet, really? But
Yeah.
but I think a lot of us, our and then we didn't have that instant gratification. When I was in kindergarten, they had beepers.
Right. Me too.
So
And then,
like that was the big thing on the block. Oh, your parent got a beeper. You thought that person was important. When we
yeah.
think about computer literacy or technology literacy, we were taught how to type. When we took computer, it was how to type. These
Yeah.
kids, when they go to computer, if it is even available in their school, they're focusing on coding and robotics,
Yeah.
which I do believe is important because those are jobs that I didn't even know existed until I became an adult. But had I known about them, I might have entertained them because that's all I do now. When I'm creating teacher resources, it's coding
Yeah.
and all the other graphic design and things of that nature. But I never knew about those positions when we were kids.
But there's missing links.
So
There's missing links with that. They're not learning how to type. They're not learning the basic foundation before they get into coding. I think
right,
that's the issue. And back to what you said about not to even get off topic, but like going to school was different where I was embarrassed to have a bad grade and my friends make fun of me. Like there's no more of that in school anymore. Like kids just don't I don't care. Like, I failed. That's what they tell me. Like I don't care. I'm like, and then even like getting a bad grade and on report card, I didn't want to go home to tell my parents I failed the class or for me it wasn't even failing. Failing was an option. It was just getting like a 70 or 70. I couldn't go home with that.
right.
I'm like, damn, I don't want to go home. Like they're gonna take my TV. They're gonna like. So it was miserable. It was miserable.
I'm gonna die. Y'all ain't gonna see me no more.
Yeah,
This is
like
it. This is 71 that took my life.
that fear. Like we had to get our tests signed by our parents if you did bad. So it was like, oh man, like I gotta do good. Like it was so much pressure. And then we actually got, if we didn't pass the state exam, we went to summer school. Like it was. And now
Right. You did not pass.
Yeah, now
There wasn't any social promotion. You
right.
literally had to earn every step. And so I do think that is something that has crippled a lot of students. And I do think that's something that parents slightly rely on. Like, well, you're not going to keep my child back anyway. So
Let's pull them out the test. Let's exempt. I don't know if they can do it in Georgia, but in New York, you can exempt kids from the test. The parents can do it.
you can, in the state of Georgia, if your child is supposed to take milestones, you can request or, say you don't want them to test. But the way they word it now is like, well, if we don't have this test result, then we can't place them. So then, but they really can place them. Hope I'm not telling everybody's information, but a lot of parents, they don't unless their child has like an IEP 504. Basically, if they have like a special education excuse.
Yeah.
But for regular general ed, a lot of those parents just allow their students to test.
That's like my thing with the 3 through 8, right? Where you gotta take in Georgia milestones, right? You could get promoted without passing them, but in high school, if you don't pass that exam, you can't.
That's
graduate.
it. Yeah.
So that's setting kids up for failure.
It is. And then also, either they won't pass or they'll just get a certificate of completion, which you can't do anything with. It's like saying, well, bye. Do they have that up in New York, a certificate of completion?
So is that like a diploma or?
It's a piece of paper you can get as you walk out the door. It is not the same as a college readiness diploma. That says you're ready to go to college.
Oh, in New York, you don't get nothing. Like we have regents, so you could we need 44 credits to graduate in New York, right? You could have those 44 credits, but you need 5 regents to graduate. You need English, math, algebra 1, global history, U.S. history. I think earth science, living environment, one science, and then what's the other one? I'm forgetting the other one, but living environment and earth science, something like living environment, earth science, right? 5 regions. You can pass all the classes, get all the credits, but if you don't pass those 5 regions, you cannot graduate. You get nothing. You get nothing. So if they could get through grades 3 through 8 without passing the state exam, but can't graduate high school without passing those exams,
right?
You're setting the kids up for failure because you're giving them a false sense of success,
right?
And I'm like, and I tell the kids that in the class, like, yo, like, they're like, oh, I'm gonna pass anyway. But I'm like, but what in high school? What about high school? You
Right.
can't graduate if you don't pass these regions. So it's like the shortcut to the long route.
And I
And
think that's the importance of teachers having that in mind and telling students that can't be your crutch. I'm
right,
letting you know now, like one of the things I say at the beginning of every school year is either you're going to learn it from me or you're going to learn it from life. And I promise I'm a
yeah,
lot easier. Like I start every year by saying that to them because they may think, oh, Miss Mike is a tough cookie. But
yeah,
really, compare it to life. And as we see now with, the Black Lives Matter movement, compared to how you can be treated outside of this classroom. Miss Mike is a scoop of ice cream with the cherry on top. And so I think it's very important that we not only, because I see myself as an advocate, I advocate for every child. And once a child is in my classroom, I'm advocating for the best education possible, resources you need. I
yeah,
like to keep parents informed of where your child is. What does this mean? I'm that teacher. I'll tell a parent, you might want to request a meeting or you might want to request a conference because there are teachers that don't say anything. And then, like you said, once a child gets to a certain level and they can't pass that test, and there are other factors that could have been tested in elementary school, but nobody ever said, let's call a meeting, let's get testing. Now that adult, that's what that child is by then,
yeah,
they don't have all of those aids in place. And a lot of times the parents don't know what they look like. So we have to be, teachers slash advocates slash counselor,
very,
and just
very,
making sure that there's that real world view of this is what it looks like. Yeah, you're gliding through now. And it's not a big deal now that your child is failing in end of year assessments, but still going to the next grade like they're capable and ready. But as I've seen it, students actually get smaller in the classroom when they know they don't belong. They know
yeah,
they didn't pass. So then when they come to me in fourth grade, that their self-esteem academically is severely low because they know that they didn't pass. And so since their self-esteem is so low, they kind of get trapped in that. They don't want to attempt anything. So like the
yeah,
first 2 months, I'm just trying to get this child to believe that they can again,
yeah.
because that test squashed their
Confidence.
their self-esteem. And then, it's not a mandate that you go to summer school. It's not a mandate.
Wow.
And we already know that students regress. So if a student was already below during the school year, then they get 2 months of absolutely nothing where that could have been catch-up time or some type of factor, but it wasn't. And then they come to you and it's like, I'm here.
That's it. I'm here. Yep. Yep. And imagine you had them in third, fourth grade, right?
Yeah, I'm fourth grade
I,
this upcoming year.
I got them in later on, like middle school. So as time go on, the confidence gets lower and lower and lower and lower and lower. I'm gonna be in high school next year. So imagine them facing failure fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth. I'm gonna have them in ninth grade. Their confidence is just like to the ground, like to the ground. And
Right.
it's kind of a blessing that you got them a little early because you can change their mindset. Once you get them at 15 and they've been feeling like that's since 9, they're already just digging themselves in a hole each year to the point
Yeah.
where, all right, I'm like you said, I'm just here.
Right. And I try to be that voice. Like, I know for me, when I'm down, there are certain people I hear telling me, you ain't gonna stay down. And so what I try to do through a relationship and community inside of my classroom is try to become a silent voice in their head. So
Yeah,
even if the next year when I don't have them and that self-esteem bug comes back again, at least they know Miss Mike believed in me. Miss Mike told
yeah,
me that I could, and I did in her class. So I think that's why a relationship is so key, because like they say, you get more with honey than you do with vinegar.
right.
And we have to see the child holistically. We can't just go into the classroom, see standards, see students as numbers, and then clock out at the end of the day. We have to see them holistically and service them
Yeah,
holistically. And that's how we get the growth.
definitely.
So what I want to encourage people that are watching the conversation, you guys don't have to just be viewers. If you have questions, please go ahead and put them in the comment section below. And then also, as we're talking, feel free to chime in and tell us about your experience, your thoughts in the comment section. We're going to transition a little bit. We've talked about it a little bit, but I know you put a lot of real world scenarios inside of your curriculum. How important is it for teachers to make real world connections inside a curriculum in today's classroom?
This is it's corny. Like some of the lessons be corny. They be boring. I'd be like, man, I can't. If I can't teach it, I know the kids ain't gonna like it. So it's like I'd be like, man, I need to like if I can. 6th and 7th is a little easier to do. 8th grade is a little bit harder because 8th grade is more of just it's basically high school math with like functions. Just, that's plug and play equations. It's really harder to incorporate the real world in 8th grade and up. But 6th and 7th is a little easier. I just try to make the lessons like activity based. I'm doing ratio proportions. I throw a basketball in there. We'll do a ratio of how many baskets you made compared to how many you took. You know, unit rate, how many jumper jacks you can do in a minute. You know, you get the kids going. At the end of the year, I do like a entrepreneurship. 2 years ago, I did a project where I kind of made it up on the fly. Where they would look up some sneakers. Everyone started a sneaker store. Look up some sneakers. We did markdown prices, and I explained to them. It connected to what the unit we were doing before. I believe it was expressions and equations. The reason why you want to mark up the price for your sneakers is to make a profit. So if you buy a sneaker for $100, you don't want to sell it for $100 because you'll make no profit. So you're going to mark up the price 10, 20, 30% so you can make a profit. And depending on the value of that product depends on how much you mark that price up. So you're not going to mark up a price of, you're not going to mark up New Balance 50%. Because no one's paying $200, $250 for New Balances. No matter how good they look. It's just realistic. And that gets them in an entrepreneurship mindset. All right, what can I make these Air Force Ones? What can I make these New Balances? What can I make these Jordans? How much I can get off of it? And then I gave them how much sneakers of what they're going to sell, inventory. They calculate the profit they're going to make per month, profit they're going to make per year. And also the cost of the product. The cost of buying the product plus the profit, and then to make their gain. So they did all that. It took like 2 or 3 weeks.
That's awesome, though. Did they have to pitch it to you?
Oh, and that we got a panel of all like counselors and teachers, mostly counselors, and they presented. They were outside the room, and I called the group, and they presented in front of the panel, and we graded them based on a rubric. So make it just like college.
Right.
They would, and I made them make sure that they had to wear not all formal because everyone didn't have formal. You know, I teach in a low income community, so I went to the thrift store and got some polos for like $6, and in case anyone didn't have it, some button ups, some polos. I'm like, yeah, no sneakers and jeans. Like, if you have jeans, at least wear a button up. You know, like meet me halfway. I'm not gonna tell you to bring something you don't have.
Right.
So. And for that one day, it felt so good because all the teachers were looking at the kids like, wow, look how they dress. You know, look how they dress coming to school. Like, it's a change. You don't have to dress like this every day, but you got to know both. You got to know how to do both. They didn't even know. They thought dressing formal was just like baggy church clothes. You know, I'm like, nah, like this could be formal. And I showed them, like, I think I Idris Elba, like how he dressed. Like, yeah, that's dope. Like, oh, I could do that. I'm like, yeah, like, it's cool. You could do both. You know, I didn't know how to dress and do both, feel good about yourself. Yeah. And it was great. I didn't really, like, grade them too hard. It was their first time speaking in front of people. They were very nervous. So just getting them to do that, I was happy. And it was great. I felt really good. But I couldn't do it this year because, you know, the pandemic.
Right. And see, the thing is, they're going to remember that for the rest of their life.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's the great thing about real world curriculum, well, connecting curriculum to real world situations, because it does increase the retention. So when you wrap those skills inside of it, of percentage, of, you know, interest, just all of those components to it, you know, not only does it make them have that entrepreneurial mindset, but also makes them a savvy shopper. Right? Because before they become an entrepreneur, they're going to be a shopper. So now they actually know the behind the scenes piece of it. Like, wait a minute, if I'm finna pay $15.99 for this, then that means they bought this for like $1.25. Right. You know, and then so those are the type of thoughts that they can have, which makes them stronger citizens. And I think that's why I always love to kind of find, I call them wormholes, where, yeah, this is the black and white instruction. I've always taught reading in social studies. We know social studies has not always been favorable of showing all cultures in great lights or talking about all cultures in great density. So I will always look for the wormholes where I could chime in with current event articles, where I could chime in with different scenarios of today where students could become more engaged, because when you did that activity, it hyped up engagement. You
Yeah.
know, I'm pretty sure they came to school more in those 3 weeks than they probably did before, because they were like, man, I can't
Yeah.
miss class today. We working
Right.
on this project. I gotta
Right.
be right. So
I'm-
imagine if we did more of that, you
yeah.
know, throughout the entire year, how that would increase student attendance, how that would increase critical thinking. Instead of me telling you think critically, you already know you have to think critically because it's in a real world component,
Mhm.
you
That's what
know?
I'll ask you as well. Like, if they give us this big curriculum, right, and like you said, there's only three. Like, let's say there's 5 standards, right? You're only getting only three of those clusters are the majority of the tests. Why we gotta teach 5? Why can't we just teach 3 and then we can do those fun things in class, like every once a quarter, once a semester, or twice a semester? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I feel like it's just too wide, and then you're not. Yeah, you're taking the same thing in college, but you're not taking all that stuff. You're not taking the 5 standards over in college. Maybe only 3 of them again. So why don't we, if we're doing college and career readiness, why aren't we teaching what they're only going to see in college, and then shrinking the curriculum so we can teach more real world stuff? Because people,
Right.
that's a big knock on teachers or rappers or whatever you hear, like, oh, they told me a whole bunch of stuff I didn't need to know.
Hmm.
So why can't we?
So,
Yeah.
Steph, Mrs. Nice said, have you thought of putting your unit on Teachers Pay Teachers? It sounds like a great idea.
Um. Nah, I didn't even thought that far. Honestly, I didn't even thought that far. I
I
just
think the thing that gets me, because I have a TPT store, I've had it for a while. I don't put things on TPT anymore. I put them on my website. But the thing about, actually, it's one thing when you have a genius idea in your classroom and it's real rough, but the kids get it. But when you're trying to sell something, the time it takes to refining it so that people who don't know you
yeah,
still get it, I think that was like a big hurdle that I had to get over as a person that made teacher resources. Is number one, making it presentable so you don't be upset about how much I'm asking you to pay for it. But then also, I'm not going to be able to hold your hand through this activity that I'm selling to you. I have to write it and explain it in such a way where it's just universal. Um, I think that's what slows down a lot of teachers that have awesome ideas and awesome activities that they've made for their classroom, but the idea of putting it on TPT is like extra work.
yeah, it is, and like as you know, building the social media and YouTube and all that stuff is just it's a lot. Top of lesson plan and doing our daily job. I'm cut thin right now. You know, like I hadn't even thought that far. But I think about it. I honestly don't. I'm not into selling it or making money of it. I just thought it was a great idea, and if you like it, you can put your own twist to it.
Right.
Yeah.
What I'm really hoping will happen at this time, we know that the curriculum that's purchased by our districts and schools, as a teacher, we know the moment it hits our desk, whether we're actually going to use it,
Yeah.
whether we're going to use 10% of it, 20% of it. What I'm hoping will happen, I hope that we'll band together and really just become more purposeful in making real world connections and creating diversity within our classroom. I don't think it's just that even if you have a 100% Black classroom or a 90% classroom, for you to only surround them with Black writers.
Yeah.
You know, they should still be exposed to other cultures, because once they leave your four walls and they go into the world, it doesn't look like them. And so I think it eases that progression into the real world when they've been equipped well, you
Yeah.
know. And so even just like, if you have 100% Black students, or diverse students, whether that is Vietnamese, Asian, Belizean, Latino. I mean, look, we got some colors in America. We're the melting pot. it doesn't do any good for us to teach a curriculum that doesn't mention anything about them, because
Yeah.
they do pay attention to that. Even the little kids, you know, if you ever read a picture book to a child, you may get one that say that person don't look like me, or that's never
Like,
happened to me, or it's the difference between saying dinner and supper.
yeah. Yeah.
Everybody don't say dinner, everybody don't say supper. Soda pop. Like one time there was a question on a state assessment a couple years ago. It talked about it was a snowy day in the story, and the kids skied into a, what's that thing on the side of the road? Not a ditch, but they called it something else. But the terminology that they used, like I knew it was a ditch, like I could visualize the road in the
They,
side, but it was, they called it something that we don't say in Georgia. But
yeah.
I know they said it up north. So in my mind, I said, okay, yeah, they definitely got this test from up north, because the language that is being used, my students, even if they sounded the word out,
Yeah.
they really wouldn't know
No,
what
no.
this is, because we don't call it that down here. So like, yeah, I'm just hoping that we just all start looking at the curriculum that we're presenting to students and making sure a bank, that's what it is. It was called a bank.
Oh, gotta use bank. Oh, the bank. Okay. Yeah.
So
Right. Yeah. Used to. I'll think like the bank. You know, like the bank you go to. Yeah. Yeah. They didn't. It didn't
and
add
then
up.
when you have your ELLs, a bank and a bank, like that's what trips a lot of our ELLs up. We use words in multiple ways. And
Yeah.
so their reading comprehension, it has, like they need a lot of it,
Still developing.
because they just get all thrown off when they get to certain words that don't mean the same thing every single time they see it.
Right. And it takes them like 7 years to really fully learn how to read and write in English. Like to learn English, it takes 7 years, and you get them early, so they're just learning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
If anybody has any questions that they have for Teacher Man 19, Mr. Hamilton, I'm gonna start saying Mr. Hamilton.
Right. You can, yeah.
Because I hate calling you by your social media name. I'm like, I know he has a name.
Yeah.
If you have any questions for him, or if you have any questions for myself, go ahead, because we're about to start wrapping it up. This is not going to be a 2-hour conversation, even though I could talk to you
Yeah.
for 2 hours.
Easy.
But yeah, the teacher circle don't run that long. But it's great to hear the secondary perception of things, perspective of things, and the lower elementary perspective, because we see we have similar issues, but we do need to work together. When I'm teaching, when I'm assessing, I should be considerate of you, right? Making sure that by the time they get to you, they're ready. And then
Yeah.
when they get to you, you could be saying, okay, yeah, that elementary school down the street, they did their job, because this child came, they ready, they on level, they ready to jump in.
That's what I be asking. That's what I be asking myself when I teach. I be like, what the hell were they teaching y'all in elementary? Like, you don't know this. Like, you supposed to know this already before you came to me. In my head, I'm like, you supposed to know this already. I'm like, man, like it's stressful. It's stressful.
Let me ask this last question. So, have they told you or given you word on how next school year is going to look? Is it going to be hybrid, where you guys are coming in, but you also are doing things online, or?
Yeah, a bit of that. That's exactly what I talked about to my principal today. It's gonna be a little bit of both. They said 1 week in school, 1 week remote. In 2 different groups.
To kind of keep the numbers down within the building?
Yeah, that's how it's gonna roll out. Yeah.
Yeah, they proposed that down here as well, but more so for upper grades, not so much for elementary. I wouldn't mind if they did it for elementary, because I feel like I'm about to be chasing students. Not like literally, but I feel like I'm about to be, it's going to take me a while to even figure out where are they,
Yeah.
you know,
That's
because
gonna be rough for elementary kids, because they're gonna be so used to chilling in their crib for that week. Like school, like it's they're too young for that. All that.
yeah,
Shit.
so they propose AB day or AB week, and I'm hoping
Right.
that everybody, majority voted for AB week, because what I don't like about AB day, if you come to me Tuesdays and Thursdays, whatever I taught you on Tuesday, I got to reteach on Tuesday. You get what I'm saying? It's not necessarily that I'm going to be teaching new things on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That gap of Wednesday is crucial. So unless whatever I assign digitally
Right.
just really pushed you know, like you really just got it, more than likely Thursday is going to be like a reteach, a Tuesday where you're not going to get anywhere.
Good
But I
point.
think the consistency of Monday through Thursday, because what it's looking like is either Monday or Friday will always be like a teacher development day. That's what it's looking like, one or the other. So they're only going to go to school for 4 days is what it's looking like. I would rather have them for 4 consecutive days, and then that next week they know what to do online that matches the 4 days of consistent teaching versus on, off, on, off, on, off. That's just not going to work from an instructional mindset.
Yes, and then what about the observations? Do we got to write lesson plans and like that's gonna be crazy. I don't know what's going on because we have to write lesson plans for remote learning. So it's like, are we gonna have to write lesson plans to teach and then create remote learning? Like that's a lot of work.
I feel like that's 2 separate types of lesson plans. Like you have your in-class lesson plans and you have your digital outline lesson plans. Like what are they doing digitally? Because you got a group of kids that's at home. Yeah. So they got to be working on something.
We don't
then you got the ones in your face.
We don't do lesson plans for remote learning. We just give out the lesson and then we have the video. I guess that's kind of like the lesson plan, the video, whatever. I'm not sure. The instructional piece.
It's a lot.
Huh?
Either way it go, it's a lot.
It's a lot of work. It's double work. So that's how I'm looking at it. Like it's double work for the same check.
But remember, budget cuts. So
that's that. Yeah, I'm thinking now that's a lot of work, really. Like, that's like really. And are they gonna still observe us? Like, I don't know how that's gonna work.
Well, I don't know if they're gonna. I would be concerned about even starting back with assessments next year. I just don't know. I don't think this is normal enough. I don't think it's normal enough to do observations because it's everybody's first time in the pool, including our administrators. Like, how can you observe me and give me a score on a situation that you yourself have never even really been in? There's no measure of success with this yet. So until there's like a measure of success or satisfactory, you can't really give me a low score on something that hasn't technically been tried and true.
In a perfect world.
We'll see.
That's how we thinking. That's not how they thinking. They superintendents I don't think they care, man, to be honest with you. I don't even think they care. They like, all right, we're still gonna observe y'all. That's how I feel. So I'm just preparing for the worst.
Oh God.
Yeah, I'm just preparing for the worst. Like, I'm thinking like they probably gonna observe us. I'm prepared for it, my mind. So
well, I'm prepared for them to observe, but I'm not prepared for them to give me a score of great or poor. I'm prepared for them to observe me with the eyes of this worked, this did not work, don't do that again. Or, yeah, that was awesome. Can I share this with somebody else because this really works and da-da-da-da-da. But again, to say, no, your teaching is not up to par. I could be in college right now in education and still not be ready for remote teaching.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I'm getting that little timer on my live where it's telling me I got a minute and 40 seconds to wrap it up. Yeah. But I hope everyone enjoyed today's Teacher Circle with Mr. Hamilton, also known as Teacher Man 91. He has phenomenal content on Instagram as well as on YouTube. So if you have not followed him on YouTube, definitely check out some of his videos as of late where he sits down and talk about how he's adjusted to remote teaching. But yeah, thank you guys for showing. If you have not already followed me, make sure you do so. Next week, I have another guest, and I'm going to be putting up flyers so that you can be aware. So every Thursday, you will be here, right? You're going to be here with me on the Teacher Circle. Everybody have a great day. Thank you again, Mr. Hamilton. Bye.